Brains!
We need to get out of here. Oh, I've been scratched by a zombie.
The name's Pat. I'm a big, bad zombie virus going to cause some trouble in Rick. Pretty soon I'll cause a large enough infection to get him really sick.
Attention, oh. Attention. A walker virus has been spotted in Rick's tissue. Now entering non-specific defense mode. This is not a drill.
Someone help me. I'm a damaged mast cell. I need Rick the macrophage sheriff to get rid of Pat the virus, but the capillary wall will make it hard for Rick to get to me. Oh, I know! I'll release Faith and other histamine along with prostaglandins to make the capillary bigger so Rick can come.
Since I've been released, the blood flow in the infected region will increase, which will cause Rick to experience some redness and swelling. Along with this effect, we'll just dilate this capillary so it leaks.
I'm a platelet from the blood, and my job is to go to the wound site and release these blood clotting proteins or coagulation factors to clot the wound.
Lori, I'm here. You're going to die, Walker. I'm the sheriff macrophage, but I'm not just any ordinary sheriff. I'm a phagocytic sheriff, which means your lunch. Prepare to be eaten.
We might need to back up Rick. I'll send a signal for others.
I'm the released chemicals near the infection site known as chemokine. My presence will attract more phagocytes to leave through the leaky capillaries and enter the infection site to remove the intruder.
Sheriff Rick and I are here to destroy you, Pat. We won't allow you, a walker virus, to infect this body. Like Rick said, we're here to eat you and splice you up. We came all the way from the bone marrow for this task.
Deputy Shane, thanks for the help. Let's get this punk.
No! I must continue to influence other cells. Your inflammation defense tactic will not be enough. I will take over this whole body, I swear.
We got rid of that pesky virus and spliced it up.
Our work is done here, Sheriff.
The tissues around the wound have healed. Shane and Rick have saved us.
The platelets will help the wound close, but the white blood cell sheriff force, Shane and Rick, will die here to form pus.
Since the mast cells are healing, my friends and I are no longer needed, so we need to stop Rick's blood vessels from dilating.
My wound is finally healed. Thank goodness for my immune system and their inflammatory response. If it wasn't for them, I'd be a walker right now.
Okay, are there any questions from the audience about the roles that were played? I know they did an analogy to The Walking Dead, that AMC show. So does everybody know who was supposed to be what? Are there any? Yes.
The deputy at the beginning, like, what was that?
That was like, in real life, like an actual human being attacked by a zombie, and then we went to inside the body from there.
Yeah, Stephanie was over there with a poster that said inside the body, but like,
Kind of
yeah.
So the zombie made the scratch and that allowed the pathogen entry?
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. What does histamine do?
Basically, it's released by the mast cell, which are the injured cells, and they cause the blood vessels around the wound to dilate, which means that the walls of the capillaries become more permeable, so macrophages, for example, or clotting factors or platelets can leak out of the capillaries to the area of the wound.
And so what were the line of chairs?
This was your capillary.
So that's why we separated them, like the capillaries.
It was like dilating.
Yeah, they were dilating.
And so when they dilated, it looked like the chairs were spaced further apart too. Does that mean the capillary has like little spaces in the walls that things can leave the bloodstream?
Well, it's more permeable, so yeah, things can exit more easily.
Okay. Now what's a mast cell?
I was just a cell on the outside, and then the virus would come and they'd destroy me. So then I would release histamine that would get rid of the virus, which was Rudy.
Now why is this non-specific as opposed to the other two presentations that are specific?
Because this is when anything enters the body, not just when a specific, like if it's a specific pathogen, then the antigens would be formed and stuff, but this is just a generic procedure that would happen anytime.
And there are also like no specific antibodies that are produced to get rid of whatever the pathogen is. It's just the macrophages eating whichever type of invader, whether it be like a bacterium or a virus.
Now what part of this pathway would lead into a specific response?
I guess
Nice. When the macrophages like destroy the pathogen, then if they had like the splicing, the antibodies would be attached to the macrophages. So then if other cell, like if the other like helper.
That's okay. Let's just stop for a second. So you said the macrophage eats the invader, and then what would happen that would lead to?
like the part of the pathogen is spliced within the macrophage, and I think the macrophage would use like these bits of the pathogen and like display it on its surface in order for a helper T cell to recognize what kind of specific antibodies are needed to be produced.
Okay, yeah, so it becomes an antigen-presenting cell, and it presents those antigens, and the helper T directs the other two pathways that we talked about, antibody-mediated and cell-mediated. All right, what other questions do we have from out here? Crystal, you haven't asked a question. Hi, Crystal.
Hello.
Extreme close-up! Ah! Sarah!
What exactly does a chemokine do?
Chemokine is like the general chemical signal. In this case, it like attracts the macrophages to come to the infected area and eat like the pathogen.
Also, like the gradient for chemokine would be like, so the chemical gradient, like how much there is, there'd be much greater amount near the wound, whereas if it's like further away from the like tissue that's damaged.
And which molecule releases the chemokine, like in the inflammatory response?
Like a specific cell, or is it just lying around?
Now remember what we said earlier. Chemokine, lymphokine, and cytokine are all general terms. What are some specific examples of chemokines, lymphokines, or cytokines? Jeremy? Interleukin, histamine, interferon. So those are all examples of cytokines and chemokines and lymphokines.
The inflammatory response.
In the inflammatory response, histamine would be an example of a cytokine. Any sort of chemical that sends a message. And so these chemicals, they move, they form a gradient. So kine, think kinetic, think movement. Any other questions for the group?
What was the red thing that Parker was throwing? What was it?
This stuff right here?
Clotting
Yeah.
proteins. Yeah, and he was a platelet. So it was just showing how when the capillaries dilated, more stuff was permeable and more stuff was coming out.
Yeah, all they do is just clot the blood at the wound site.
We have dead air here. Anybody else have a question? Okay, thank you.